Welcome to my very first YouTube video. For the past couple of years, I've been filming lots of garden projects and advice from my very own garden here in central Scotland. As well as that, I've been visiting private gardens and public gardens, interviewing the gardeners and speaking to a host of other people across the wider landscape of horticulture. But right now feels like the right time to pull all that together into one place, and so I've created this YouTube channel. This channel will be the new home for documenting everything that I get up to, and I'm really happy that you're here. For those of you that are new to my work, I used to be a principal dancer with Scottish Ballet, and I got to travel the globe performing on some of the world's greatest stages. But now I'm channeling that creativity into something else, and I'm starting right here in my very own garden. If you'd like to help me, you can do so by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. That way you can help it grow. Okay, so let's get to it. We're going to head inside to talk about the redesign of my very own garden. The garden's on a new build property and measures 6 by 8 meters, so not particularly large, and it's awkwardly placed on the side of the house. But what that does give me is this additional growing space. I have borders which wrap around the house, and I can use that to trial out different plants, different planting combinations, and so I use them as my herbaceous perennial borders. The back garden, however, lacks that kind of identity, and that's because it's built up from various projects. They're projects that have been developed over the last few years, that have been inspired by public and private gardens, things I've seen online, and things that I've come up with myself. But when you amalgamate it all together in that small space, it doesn't gel and there's no flow to it. It feels very bitty. So what I'd like to do is reduce it all back, create some repetition, create a calmer space, and then kind of most importantly for me right now is to have a place that's got lower maintenance. So as I move forward with my garden design studies and eventually having my own studio, I need to have a little bit more time. And to do that, reducing the maintenance level of the garden is going to really help, as well as wanting a more cohesive space. So this is what I'm doing. This is the current garden. We've got the house here, and then the garden, and then a long driveway, and my Coldframes at the end here. This whole area up top is where we have a hawthorn hedge which runs along the perimeter of the fence line, a wee path that takes us from the driveway all the way up to the front door, and then 3 patches which have wildflowers and spring bulbs in them. In the garden we have a patio and path which is Indian sandstone and some gravel areas here and here. This is the herb corner, which is a little seating area and essentially shelves for herbs. We have some containers, the summer house, and then a water feature which is a solar panelled water feature and a border built in there. That is flanked with another border. Over here we have a post and rail fence, and then we come into the kitchen garden which has growing space here, here, and then 3 DIY greenhouses, potting shed, pond, and then which is a little bit of a grand bug hotel, and it's really good because that serves as habitat but also as screening as it's built into the fence. With the garden having a stronger identity and lower maintenance as priorities, the first thing I'm going to do is remove the kitchen garden here. Whilst it's been really fun growing, it's really not a priority right now, and I can use that space to expand the borders. And simplifying really is the biggest aim. So this is the new design, and it's just block planned here. These are 2 trees that we've already got in the garden. Is a birch Trinity College and a rowan shearwater seedling. I'm going to add in 2 more birches of the same Trinity College here, and then here I have a crabapple that is in a container, and that's going to go into the garden. This was border number 1. Here was border number 2, and what I'm going to do is expand it through to where the greenhouses are on the other side of the fence, so the fence is nestled in between. Here in front of the bug hotel, I'm going to add another border, a little one over here which I've got a beautiful Euphorbia wolfenii for, and then another one here instead of the herb corner. Bringing the crabapple into the middle of the garden here is going to act as a feature, and then with those 3 birch trees here, 1, 2 and 3, we're going to get more privacy, but because they don't have a heavy canopy, they're still going to get light through to the new borders. We've expanded those borders and then added a new one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm really excited about that because that gives me more opportunity for planting, more opportunity for repetition and flow through the garden, and therefore more identity. So it all feels like the right thing to do here in terms of bringing the maintenance level down and then getting some continuity. Right. So I'm standing in the old kitchen garden, and as you can see, it's now been cleared. This is what it looked like before. And then here's some video of it coming down. It was the first space to be cleared because it was always going to be cleared, and I needed space to store any plants that I've bought for the new borders, to store any containers, and just having some space to work from. But these mini greenhouses were a fantastic solution, and it's definitely something I'll come back to in the future. They were made from recycled wood, so shout out to Glasgow Wood, and then covered in polythene, which is the same material used for polytunnels. We grew tomatoes, courgettes, onions, cucumbers, chili peppers, sweet peppers. They're really versatile. So if you're looking for a garden project for greenhouses that is DIY friendly, budget friendly, and you can build custom to the space you have, then this is a really good solution. You can find a video under my story highlights on my Instagram of me building these, and that's labeled mini greenhouses. One of the priorities for the garden was to introduce more trees. So I've got 2 of these birch trees here, and this is Betula Trinity College, which is from a tree that originated at Trinity College in Dublin. You get that beautiful white bark, and also you get those characteristics from the jacquemontii. I'm looking forward to planting these out in the garden where they can establish themselves and become part of the new ecosystem in the garden. But they arrived with a problem. The nursery I got them from, whether it was in postage or packaging, they arrived damaged. So the main stem, the leader stem, was broken, and in general they're just not in very good nick. So I need to do a bit of work on them. We need to train a new leader, so a new main stem, and then to give them a prune. I'm going to prune the tree now in November, which is when it's in its dormancy season. If you prune it outside of its dormancy season, the birch tree will bleed sap when you make that cut. So you really want to make sure that you do it when the tree is dormant. So here you've got the main stem, and this is where they've made a previous cut and then created a new leader here. This is where we have our break. So what I'm going to have to do is take a new side stem here and then attach it with a cane, and then this can become the new leader. And so with some sharp secateurs, I've made that cut, and I'm just taking some twine and I'm going to tie it to the new cane, which is going to help support. And then with a figure of 8, I'm going to loop round and then tie it in. I'll leave this support on indefinitely. It will be when I feel it is time to take that off, and then I'll do another one up here and then keep going all the way up to the top. So now I've done that, I'm just going to lie the tree down and then cut away here with some sharp shears. Trim the top off here. Wow, that was strong. And then lift the tree back up. And that is a much better shape for us to go by. It's pruned to lots of outward growing shoots, which is the same as when you're pruning roses. And that way it grows outwards and not inwards. And then we've just started this new leader, which by all means is very thin at the moment, but over the next years that will thicken up very quickly, and then this will mature and become very secure. I've had the same situation happen before with this crabapple, which I'll show you here. And as you can see, that was pruned and then a new leader was put in there. These are my Coldframes, and I absolutely love them. They do really well for me for seed sowing, for keeping salad leaves, for protecting plants over winter. They're a really good solution if you've got a narrow space. Now, I bought them in the sale. They were about £50 each when I bought them. And then I put them on this timber structure and then lifted them up, secured them against the fence. That way they get more light and I get extra storage underneath. So like I said, it's a really good solution if you're short on space. Part of the issue is with them is that they're made from Douglas fir, which is, whilst it's really good for outside, it's a strong softwood. What happens is that once something breaks from it, it can rot very quickly. So there's kind of no turning back from that. And I made the mistake of when we had one of our last storms, and we're in the central belt of Scotland, so we get really high winds. Today's quite a calm day. I left the vents up and the wind just took them. So it's my own fault and they're broken. So I need to replace these polycarbonate panels, which I've got here. As you can see already, it takes the wind so easily. So I need to replace them and then fix these frames. The problem is, like I said before, it's the fir, it's the softwood, and they're not going to go back together where I can open them up and close them again. Part of the problem as well is that the hinges for that vent are on the back side, so it's in between the fence, and there's enough space for them to open, but there's not enough space for me to access it now unless I take the whole thing down. And I'm not confident that if I take the whole thing down, it's going to be as secure afterwards when I put it back up. So I'm going to replace the polycarb panels, wood glue all the kind of the timber battens into place, and then I'm going to secure the whole lid down onto here, and essentially it will just act like a ceiling. It won't be able to be used as a vent anymore, and I'm fine with that because come spring, come summer, I can find solutions to be able to have these doors open and have them secured, and I just need to remember to close them. That's my own fault, really. So I'm going to head inside because it's raining. I'm going to cut out these polycarb panels and then head back outside and secure it all and get it all done. Of the 3 top panels, 2 of them were broken in the storm, so I'm replacing them with a like for like, and that is 5mm polycarbonate sheeting. This is an original panel, and I've brought it in because I can make my job much simpler by using it as a template, laying it straight on the new sheeting, drawing around it, and then cutting it. I've bought a new one. Here, this is a large sheet that I got from B&Q for £15. It's a pretty reasonable price. They vary in widths, and that can really adjust the price, so they can get quite expensive, so it's always worth shopping around a little bit. So for here, I've got my template, I've got a piece that I already had, my new piece, and I need to cut out 2 new panels. That's these top panels now repaired. We've got brand new polycarbonate sheeting in, and these frames are now fully secure to the cold frame itself. At a later date, when it's dry, I need to take a aquatic sealant and then just put a bead of sealant all the way around the edge. I'm going to use aquatic because then it's got really good waterproof properties. And it needs to be there because here we've got a couple of grooves along the top, and that's for if water builds up, then it can run off. But without any sealant there, it's actually just going to seep back into the unit itself. So it's really important that I do that. Otherwise, over time, this will just rot away. So an aquatic sealant is what I recommend for outdoors. I've used them on water features before as well, and that way it also releases no toxins. A little bead across the top on each one, and we'll be good to go. It's Thursday morning and it has finally stopped raining here in Scotland, and I've taken delivery of my spring bulbs, and it's a really good variety. Here we've got different tulips, Chionodoxa, Pushkinia, Muscari, and also some paper whites for indoors. My next video is solely focused on spring bulbs, where I'll be preparing the spring bulb borders and then planting all of this out ready for spring. I hope you've enjoyed me for this first YouTube video where we've begun the redesign of this garden and really kicked off this new YouTube channel. And I hope that you will join me for the next video, which is all about spring bulbs.